Why don't we go chasing after people who need counseling? That's the question I'm going to answer in this video. Hello everyone, this is Dr. Todd, and I've been giving some thought recently to the seeming tension between my role as a pastor and my role as a counselor. As a pastor, I am drawn to go after the straying sheep. As a counselor, though, I realize that endeavor sometimes can do more harm than good. And the reason for that is that as a pastor or as a counselor, you have to realize that people have to be ready to be counseled. You can see that you can gauge this stage of readiness simply by resistance they put up. They never show up, those kind of things, or they do show up right away. But it's important to understand that there are different stages that an individual goes through before he or she commits to the counseling process. It's very rare that someone wakes up one morning and says, I need to go to counseling today. It's not that kind of thing. And what you see, and this is in the research literature, there are 5 stages. The first is called pre-contemplation. In pre-contemplation, the individual says, I don't have a problem. Everything's great here. So they don't even consider counseling. But then something comes up, or there's evidence that comes to their attention that it's kind of difficult to ignore, and they move into the second stage known as contemplation. And in contemplation, they say, there just might be a problem here. But they're still not ready to come in yet. They've just acknowledged that there's something wrong. Perhaps it's that DUI charge, something like that. But there's something going on that they can no longer be unaware that there's something happening with them. But perhaps the benefits of whatever it is they're doing that they don't need to be doing, or experiencing what they don't need to be experiencing, the benefit of that outweighs it at that moment, the necessity to come in and address the problem. Until it gets the other way, until the balance shifts to where it becomes more painful to stay where you are than to get help. And that's leads us to, they still don't come in right then. That's the preparation stage. That's the 3rd stage. And that's where the person thinks to themselves, I need to do something about this problem. But that takes a little time sometimes. I'll call tomorrow. But at some point, they hit the next stage, and this is the best stage, really, if you think about it as far as the counseling process goes, the action stage. They make that phone call. They say, I'm actively addressing the problem. They're going to do something about it. And then once they've been in counseling a while, they kind of come through what we would call the maintenance stage, where they can say to themselves, I'm changing my relationship to the problem by how I'm working through my intentional thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So in other words, they're actually becoming a new person as a result of working through the problem. So those are kind of the 5 stages of getting into the counseling office. Sometimes, though, even when they do get in the office, there are defenses they put up. I see this a lot both in individual counseling and couples counseling, but there are 3 positions a counselee will take. And it's important to know that as a counselor, because it will dictate the pace at which you can go. You can never outrun your counselee to the finish line. You have to walk alongside of them, actually about a half a step behind them. The first position of the 3, we'll call that position an attending position. They're basically visiting the counseling room. They're the one who comes to the interview unwillingly. An example of that would be something dictated by the parents and the administration, let's say of the Christian school that our church is a part of. A teenage boy will be sitting there with his arms crossed and a scowl on his face, not wanting to be there, particularly with me, for instance. And so that would be he's an attender. He's just visiting. The second position, though, is the next stage up as far as really getting some work done, and that's called a complaining position. Held, of course, by where you get the attender is just a visitor. The complaining position is they hold a position and it's a complainer. In this person, they come to the session with a great deal of information about the problem someone else has. So they know there's a problem. The attender, there's no problem. I don't need to be here. I'm being forced. The complainer, though, they know there's a problem. They're just pretty sure it's not them. And then the third position that counselors face is what's called a willing position. And those people are customers. They're ones who enter the counseling session or the counseling experience with a clear problem that they want to be addressed. So why do I tell you that? Well, I say all this to say, your heart, the pastoral part of your heart will want to reach out and go grab these people, drag them into the counseling office so that you can open your Bible and help them. And that's commendable. That's the kind of person that needs to be a counselor. However, wisdom dictates that you not run ahead of the counselee. And if things haven't gotten bad enough yet, you're going to waste your time and basically, or you could also alienate the person because you're forcing them into something they can't do. Remember, the Holy Spirit's on the move and at work in the life of that individual. You just need to not try to be the Holy Spirit for them. You need to walk alongside them. Like I said, about a half a step back. So you're not being distant from them. You're actually being loving to them by helping them, by creating an environment where it's actually more painful to stay the same way than it is to get help. Well, I hope this has been helpful. If you enjoy the videos that I post here on YouTube, please feel free to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, and a like on the video would be great too. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments section. I always enjoy interacting with those. God bless. We'll talk again soon.